And listen to this. The Weirton Police Department received close to $1 million in American Rescue Plan funds. City officials approved those funds at last week's council meeting for a take-home cruiser program. Chief Charlie Cush says they bought 15 new vehicles, and the take-home cruisers will be a big help to the police department and to the city in terms of saving money when purchasing vehicles.
The mileage that are put on the vehicles, the mechanical issues that they go through on a daily basis, having take-home vehicles should cut down on all of that. Also, the visibility of police vehicles within the city of Weirton with the take-homes will be much higher than what you're seeing now, which is good. I want the visibility of police cruisers to be high.
Greg, the city of Amarillo says there's $2.2 million remaining. Half of it will go to Medi Park to improve its lighting and enhance safety. The other half will go to Amarillo Police and Fire Departments.
Public safety is one of our top priorities. It always has been for our city council, and our current city council saw that as a need to continue putting dollars into those areas.
Amarillo Police Department tells me these funds will allow for police medical trauma bags, breaching toolkits, a crisis negotiation vehicle, a police canine, and outer vest carriers.
All these things are going to enhance our service for the community in the case of something where those services would be needed. And it's better to have them than to have the situation happen. And now we're like, you know, here's what we could have done if we would have had this.
Amarillo Fire Department will also be receiving new equipment.
We'll have every one of our trucks, our frontline trucks, will have a LifePak 15 12-lead cardiac monitor on it. Our guys that have been trained to the paramedic level can read that heart rate and can diagnose things that may not be presenting from signs and symptoms.
Chief Mays says these ARPA dollars will also fund paramedic training for 15 firefighters.
Yeah, the funds are a part of the more than $2 billion given to Wisconsin by the federal government as part of the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA.
Milwaukee County and the City of Milwaukee will receive $20 million to invest in several initiatives.
Those initiatives include expanding courthouse operations, supporting the mental health treatment court, addressing reckless driving, and tackling the backlog of court cases from the pandemic.
This will relieve that backlog.
Milwaukee County Chief Judge Mary Chigiano says the backlog should be cleared in less than 2 weeks.
I think we can reduce the backlog probably in 18 months. If we had it right now, only what we have, it would probably take us a good 3+ years.
But how will they do that? $14.5 million of the $20 million will go to supporting an additional 5 criminal courts.
I have 14 felony judges and I have 7 misdemeanor judges. If they all had help, they could shift some of their cases, potentially a third, over to the new judges, new courtrooms to resolve those cases faster. And those new courts would not get more cases, so they could focus on simply reducing those numbers.
Officials say that should help get through an additional 100 cases per week. The current backlog means victims and defendants are waiting months longer than usual for justice or resolution.
We've been dealing with this for 2 years, right? And we've been working diligently and efficiently and effectively as possible to try to make sure that those time frames are lessened and continue to be lessened. Defendants and families and victims and the community, they deserve that from us.
Additionally, $3.5 million is set aside to address reckless driving and improve roads.
An update on ARPA funding and new police vehicles for THPD were the main takeaways from the meeting. We're another step closer to learning the next phase of how city ARPA funds will be spent. Mayor Duke Bennett says he's working with numerous agencies to build that detailed plan.
Our plan will be to bring another appropriation for 2023 with those things that are ready to be funded and put dollars in there for the rest of this year. Then next year we'll have to come back and reappropriate additional funds based on that plan.
A special meeting between Bennett and the City Council will take place on May 22nd to discuss those details.
It's a very complicated process, it's a very detailed process. The federal rules to spend that money are very strict. You can only spend it on certain things, and you have to track it for the next few years to make sure the impacts are there.
Council President Curtis DeBond IV ensures that city leaders will be cautious as they make big decisions that impact you.
And we've got to be careful, we've got to be cautious, we've got to take it slow, we've got to get this right. I think we're going to.
All Also at that meeting, the council approved an appropriation that would allow the Terre Haute Police Department to purchase 2 new police cars.
This year will put us replacing everything that was currently in service 10 years or over. Our oldest vehicle in service will then be a 2016, so we're making a lot of headway to get a lot of those older vehicles out to reduce the maintenance costs of those.
With lost revenue ARPA funds, we are able to purchase vehicles, drones, license plate readers, corrections vans, and other things that are going to benefit not only our entire community, but it also, the community will not have to pay for those out of our tax dollars. We have vehicles that we try and stay up to date with as far as their mileage, their condition, and so we replace those vehicles about every 3 years. Corrections vans we're also able to purchase through the ARPA Lost Revenue Fund, and at this point in time, corrections vans, the transit vans that we utilize for our transports, are difficult to find because of some manufacturing issues that are beyond anybody's control, mainly due to COVID. The drones, again, these are drones that we're purchasing through the ARPA Lost Revenue Funds. These are FLIR drones. These are not regular drones, and by FLIR it means that they have some night vision on them, so we can actually utilize those at night. And we've actually utilized our drone a number of times in looking for suspects, in helping the fire departments check out a building to see how bad the damage is during a fire. And by using these drones, the FLIR drones that we are able to utilize at night, it allows us to continue to work and continue to search for things even when it's dark outside. The LPRs, which are the license plate readers, is what that stands for. License plate readers benefit us in a lot of ways. Most importantly, when things occur, because when a crime occurs, normally the police aren't around and we get called to a place. But when somebody leaves an area, we're looking for witnesses who may have seen this car. Those cameras actually pick up those cars and we can get an idea of who was in the car, the direction that it went, and hopefully allows us to apprehend those offenders in a timely manner. We're doing this to keep our community safe because of the importance of public safety throughout our county.
The U.S. Attorney's Office is working with the FBI and the Office of Inspector General to prosecute people suspected of committing fraud through the Paycheck Protection Program. As the program becomes a thing of the past, people are starting to go back to the books, and the banks are reevaluating some of their loans. News on 6's Ashlyn Brothers has the details.
U.S. Attorney Clint Johnson says in many cases, defendants have taken responsibility for their actions, admitted in court that what they did was wrong, pled guilty, and have been punished for it.
Fraudsters are taking advantage of a federal program designed to help smaller businesses stay afloat during the COVID-19 pandemic.
It's taxpayer dollars that me and you and your listeners are paying out to keep the businesses we like to go to open.
U.S. Attorney Clint Johnson says 21 defendants in 11 different Payment Protection Program fraud cases have worked their way through the system here in the Northern District of Oklahoma.
Anytime that kind of money is involved, con artists and tricksters are going to come out, and criminals are going to come out to try to take that money from places that actually deserve it.
He's seen everything from folks lying about the number of employees they have to making fake businesses.
So we have wire fraud, we do bank fraud, we do false statements to institutions. And we also do identity theft.
Johnson's asset recovery team has already recovered close to $500,000 in the Northern District of Oklahoma. There are also money judgments against guilty parties, so they must pay money back over an extended period. Johnson says in one case, someone applied for about $1 million and received $165,000 before eventually being sentenced to a year in jail. In another case, 4 defendants were taking PPP loans out of banks, applying for up to $8 million. They got $950,000 before getting caught.
All 4 of them have pled guilty. One person was sentenced to 4 years in jail. One person was sentenced to 1 year in jail. And 2 other individuals are still awaiting sentencing.
Johnson says cases are normally resolved between 4 to 6 months after charges have been filed.